In the quiet of a moonless night, under the swaying palm trees of Ajigunal village, a young maid named Funmi clutched a battered phone, its screen glowing faintly with a video that could topple a billionaire's empire. Her hands trembled as she hid behind a mango tree, the distant hum of Lagos city lights barely visible across the lagoon. She'd heard the rumors. People disappearing for crossing Al-Haji Bello, the untouchable oil tycoon who owned half the coast. But Funmi, with nothing but her courage and a Yoruba proverb etched in her heart. The ant may be small, but it can enter the king's palace, was about to do the impossible. This is a story of how one girl's secret recording sparked a rebellion that shook Nigeria. A tale told by her cousin, Tund, who saw it all unfold. Ajigunal wasn't just any village. Tucked along the Lagos Lagoon, its wooden stilt houses teetered over murky waters, where fishermen cast nets at dawn and women smoked fish under thatched roofs. The air smelled of salt, smoked tilapia, and the faint diesel of passing boats. The village thrived on community, elders sharing kola nuts under the irako tree, children chanting Yoruba rhymes, and drummers calling spirits during Gungun festivals. But beneath the vibrancy, fear simmered. Al-Haji Bello, the billionaire who lived in a glass mansion on the mainland, owned the land Ajigunal stood on. His company, Bello Oil, had turned their waters oily, their fish scarce, and their dreams small. Yet no one dared speak his name above a whisper. I'm Tund, Funmi's cousin, a 25-year-old carpenter who fixed boats and carved stools for the village market. Funmi was like my sister, always humming Yoruba gospel songs, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. She left Ajigunal 2 years ago to work as a maid in Al-Haji Bello's mansion, sending every kobo back to her mother, Aya Funmi, who sold pepper soup at the market. Funmi wasn't just smart. She was fearless, the kind of girl who'd argue with elders and win. Quoting proverbs like weapons. Tund, she'd say, if the river stops flowing, the fish don't complain, they find a new path. I never knew that proverb would define her fight. It started on a humid evening in July 2025, during the rainy season when the lagoon swelled and mosquitoes danced in clouds. Funmi came home for the weekend, her face tight with worry. We sat on a wooden bench outside Aya Funmi's shack, the air thick with the scent of her simmering soup. Tund, she whispered, glancing around as if the palm trees had ears, Al-Haji is planning something terrible. Her voice shook as she told me what she'd overheard while dusting his study, a room lined with gold-framed paintings and shelves of untouched books. Al-Haji Bello, on a call with his lawyer, had laughed about evicting Ajigunal. We'll cut their water, poison their fish, and blame it on them, he'd said. By next year, I'll build a marina for my yachts. Funmi's eyes burned with anger. He's forging documents to say the village has no legal claim to the land. He's bribing the local chief and the police. I felt my stomach twist. Ajigunal was our home, where my father taught me to carve, where Funmi learned to braid from her grandmother, where we danced during the Ogun festival under lanterns strung across the square. Losing it meant losing everything. What can we do? I asked. Funmi leaned closer, her voice barely audible. I'm going to record him. I thought she was mad. Al-Haji Bello was untouchable. Rumors said he'd silenced journalists, bribed governors, even made rivals vanish. But Funmi's mind was set. She showed me her old technophone. Its screen cracked, but still working. I'll hide it in his study, she said. If I get proof, we can expose him. I tried to talk her out of it, but Funmi quoted another proverb. The hunter who fears thorns will never catch the leopard. I knew she wouldn't back down. Back at the mansion, Funmi became a ghost, moving silently through marble halls, her broom and rag her disguise. Al-Haji's mansion was a fortress. Security cameras, armed guards, and a gate taller than Ajigunal's tallest palm. But Funmi knew its blind spots. She learned them over months of cleaning, noticing where guards slacked off or cameras didn't reach. The study was her target, a room where Al-Haji met his allies, sleek men in Agbada, and women with diamonds glittering like stars. She hid her phone behind a dusty encyclopedia, its camera peeking through a gap, recording hours of conversations. For weeks, she collected fragments, snippets of Al-Haji's plans, names of officials he'd paid, dates of water shutoffs. She'd sneak the phone out at night, transferring files to a battered memory card she kept in a cola nut tin. Each evening, she'd text me updates in coded Yoruba phrases, like, "The fish swims tonight," meaning she'd gotten something new. I'd meet her at the jetty, where she'd pass me the card, her hands shaking but her eyes fierce. "Tund, this is bigger than Ajigunal," she said one night, rain dripping off her headscarf. "He's stealing land all over Lagos." The recordings were chilling. Alhaji's voice, smooth as palm oil, detailed how he'd frame Ajigunal's elders for illegal fishing, cut their water to force them out, and sell the land for billions. He laughed about bribing a judge named Adeyemi and a police chief, Okafor. I felt sick listening, but Funmi was calm, like a warrior planning an ambush. "We need to get this to someone who can help," she said. "Someone the people trust." We turned to Mama Wura, the village's radio host, who ran a small FM station from a shack powered by a noisy generator. Mama Wura was a legend in Ajigunal, her voice crackling through radios every evening, mixing news with Yoruba folktales and Fela Kuti songs. At 60, she was fearless, known for calling out corrupt officials during her broadcasts. When we showed her the recordings, her eyes widened. "This could bring him down," she said, chewing cola nut. "But it's dangerous." Bello has eyes everywhere. Mama Wura agreed to air the recordings anonymously, disguising them as leaked documents from concerned citizen. She planned to broadcast during the Gungun festival, when the whole village gathered, ensuring maximum impact. But Funmi's visits to the mansion grew riskier. Alhaji's head guard, a hulking man named Razor, started watching her closely. Once, he grabbed her arm as she left the study, his grip like iron. "What were you doing in there?" He growled. Funmi stammered, playing the timid maid, saying she dropped a rag. He let her go, but his eyes followed her like a hyena's. Days before the festival, things spiraled. Alhaji called a meeting in his study, and Funmi's phone caught every word. He was escalating, planning to burn a few shacks in Ajigunal to speed things up. "Let them think it's an accident," he said, his voice cold. Funmi was terrified but kept recording, hiding the phone in new spots each day. A vase, a curtain fold, even under a rug. She'd slip out at dawn, passing me the memory card at the jetty, her face pale but resolute. Then disaster struck. Razor caught her leaving the study one night, the phone in her hand. "What's this?" he snarled, snatching it. Funmi's heart stopped, but she prepared for this. The phone was a decoy, an old one with no recordings, filled with gospel music. She cried, begging him not to tell Alhaji, saying it was for calling her sick mother. Razor, suspicious but lazy, tossed it back and warned her to stay out of the study. Funmi nodded, but that night, she told me, "Ton, we're running out of time." I was scared for her. Ajigunal was already tense. Water pumps had stopped working, and fish were dying in the lagoon. Rumors spread that Bello was behind it, but without proof, people were afraid to act. I begged Funmi to stop, but she quoted another proverb. "When the house is on fire, you don't sleep, you run." She was determined to get one final recording, the one that would nail Alhaji, a meeting with the bribe judge, Adeyemi. Set for the eve of the festival, the Gungun festival arrived, transforming Ajigunal into a riot of color and sound. Masquerades and vibrant masks danced through the streets, drummers pounded rhythms, and elders poured libations to honor ancestors. Funmi slipped back to the village that morning, her final recording hidden in her bra. It was gold. Alhaji and Judge Adeyemi discussing forged land titles, laughing over palm wine. She handed it to Mama Wura, who hugged her tight. "You're braver than Ogun himself," Mama Wura said. That evening, as the festival peaked, Mama Wura's radio crackled to life. The village fell silent as Alhaji's voice boomed through speakers, confessing his plans. "Ajigunal is mine," he said. "We'll clear those shacks by next month." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Fishermen clenched their fists, mothers hugged their children, and elders muttered prayers. Then came Judge Adeyemi's voice, agreed to sign off on the eviction for a 50 million naira bribe. The village erupted, shouts, drums, and chants of "Bello must go." I saw Funmi in the crowd, her face a mix of fear and pride. But the victory was short-lived. Razor and his thugs arrived, sent by Alhaji, who'd heard the broadcast. They stormed the radio shack, smashing equipment. But Mama Wura had backed up the recordings on a hidden drive. The thugs grabbed Funmi, dragging her toward a boat. I ran after them, heart pounding, shouting her name. The village rallied. Fishermen blocked the jetty, women threw stones, and masquerades swung staffs. In the chaos, Funmi broke free, diving into the lagoon. I thought we'd lost her, but she surfaced near a fishing boat, gasping but alive. The broadcast spread beyond Ajigunle. Lagos bloggers picked it up, sharing clips on X and WhatsApp. By morning, protests erupted across the city, with students, traders, and even Okada riders chanting Funmi's name. The maid who fought Bello became a hashtag, her story a symbol of defiance. Al-Haji's empire began to crumble. Judge Adeyemi was arrested, the police chief suspended, and Bello oil stock plummeted. Funmi hid in a neighboring village, guarded by fishermen who called her Omo Oba, daughter of the king, for her bravery. But Al-Haji wasn't done. He sent lawyers to spin lies, claiming the recordings were fake. He offered bribes to silence Mama Wura, but she refused, broadcasting from a new location each night. Funmi, still in hiding, sent me a message. Tund, the ant has stung the elephant. Now we wait for it to fall. I helped organize a village, carving signs for protests and hiding Mama Wura's equipment in my boat. Ajigunle became a fortress of resistance, with drummers playing war songs and elders invoking Orunmila for protection. Weeks later, Al-Haji made a desperate move. He came to Ajigunle himself, flanked by police, claiming he'd negotiate with the elders. The village gathered at the Irako tree, tense but united. Funmi emerged from hiding, her headscarf bold against the sunset. She faced Al-Haji, holding a new recording, a video of him bribing a senator, sent to her by a sympathetic guard. "Leave our land," she said, her voice steady, "or this goes to every news station in Nigeria." Al-Haji's face twisted, but the crowd's chants drowned him out. The police, sensing the tide turning, backed off. Defeated, Al-Haji left, his yacht vanishing into the lagoon. Days later, news broke. Bello oil was under investigation, and Ajigunle's land was declared protected. Funmi became a hero, her story sung in Yoruba ballads, her name whispered in markets from Lagos to Ibadan. I tell you this story, my friends, because I saw it with my own eyes. Funmi, my cousin, proved that even the smallest among us can topple giants. Ajigunle still stands. Its water's cleaner now, its fish returning. Funmi runs a cooperative now, teaching women to record their stories, to never stay silent. Every Agungun festival, we honor her, drumming under the Irako tree, where a new proverb is carved. The ant's whisper shakes the palace. This is no folktale. This is the truth of Ajigunle, of Funmi, the maid who broke an empire. We'll leave a comment with your thoughts, and stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you won't miss what happens next.